Well, hello there, and welcome to this week's episode of Grow Wealthy Grooming. I am your host, River Lee, and I am the founder of the Savvy Groomer, where we teach you to go from being burnt out, broken, to healthy, wealthy, and happy, building a grooming business on your terms. So let's go ahead and hop right into today's topic. We are going to be talking about one-on-one pricing concerns. Now, I do have a 6-module price increase masterclass, or as I like to call it, the price restructuring class. But I find a lot of people are curious about their one-on-one model. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to go through it. Hey, Teresa, great to see you here live. So first things first, I want to thank somebody I don't know if they want to remain anonymous. I'm going to respect their, personal information, but they said, I own a very small one-on-one grooming business. We don't have any local big store box like Petco. My prices are comparable to other local groomers that are not one-on-one. Should my prices be higher than theirs? If so, how much? Now, the first thing I'm going to tell you is that we really need, first and foremost, when you do the price increase masterclass, we go over your overhead, we go over your long-term plans. The real negative of one-on-one grooming is it's not really scalable. And I know people get mad at me when I tell them that, but it's pretty accurate. What happens with one-on-one, and again, you guys will hear me sometimes jokingly call it stationary mobile, is that it's really tough to get it so that it is larger. So let's think about the traditional grooming salon, right? In a traditional grooming salon, you would think, oh, well, isn't that one-on-one, right? Where one person gets the dog, they groom them straight through, and the person picks up. Well, most of you guys that are doing one-on-one also are cage-free, are also saying things along the lines of it's a much quieter environment for your pet, etc., etc., etc. But once you start adding 2 or 3 groomers, none of those things are actually accurate. So as far as having these pets, just from a business structure standpoint, and again, you can do whatever you want. It's your business. But if I have 3 groomers and everyone is grooming one-on-one, then it's really difficult to grow that business. Because let's say, and again, I apologize if I'm repeating myself, COVID brain fog is a real thing. I've been over COVID, but I still feel like I'm not quite where I need to be. So what I thought was really fascinating was this idea that, okay, I'm going to have me, who's not going to be a groomer, let's say, I'm the owner, I'm going to transition out of grooming, and I'm just going to manage. So if I have 1 or 2 groomers, because we're not going to have bathers, right? Or if we do have bathers, they're kind of just sitting there waiting around, right? Because there's no drying kennels. There is nothing to do except for groom that pet. So it has to be a very tight schedule. You have to have very perfect clientele. Now we can, of course, build perfect clientele. We can hire people and get people involved in that. But, let's say you have the manager who's the receptionist. I'm going to check in all the dogs. I'm going to hand it to my groomer, who is then going to start to finish groom that dog, right? So I have 1 dog there, and then I have a 2nd dog there. And then when the dogs are done, these 2 dogs are done, where are they going to go? So you're going to say, oh, well, I can put them in a kennel. Okay, well, how long are they going to stay in that kennel? Let's say they're going to stay in there for 10 minutes while the client picks up. Unlike mobile, when you go mobile, for those of you guys who have never been in mobile, never seen mobile, what we do is we pull up, we prep, we get the pet, we groom the pet, and then we either call the client out to pick up the pet from the van or we bring the pet inside. We have a lot more control over the person picking up the pet because we're there, right? We know what time we're going to arrive because we are the one that's going to arrive. However, with stationary mobile with one-on-one, you have to have clients that will show up exactly on time and will pick up exactly when done. That creates a lot of dead time where you're not actually earning any money. Now, going back to the example before, and again, I'm going to move my stuff around. Back in one of our other lessons, we had talked about having a schedule. And like I said, pardon me while I pull this up. I just want you to look at, now this was a schedule. Make sure you can see it on this. It's actually, it's funny because like I really want to use Zoom really bad, really bad, but we're going to do what we can do. It's all good. Boop, boop, boop. All right, let me get that out of the way. Don't mind me. I know, as always, I should be. Okay. So, here we have 2 groomers, right? They're going to be doing, let me see if I can make this bigger. There we go. So, we have the groomer, and I'm sorry, the receptionist who's also the groomer owner, and then the bather. Okay, so at 8 a.m. they're checking in 2 haircut dogs. They're checking in a bath dog, 2 more haircuts, 2 more haircuts, a large haircut, and a large bath. And then they've got the pets for 4 hours, so we have our pickup and our pickup. Right, so they're actually doing here 2, 4, 6, 7 haircuts. So 3 small haircuts, 1 large haircut, so 7 haircuts, and 2 baths here. So they're doing a total of 9 dogs between 2 people. That's a pretty good time, right? And then we have another scenario here where we have the 1 groomer. And again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dogs, right? And this gives them plenty of time to do check-in, check-out, and all that. And we also have examples. These are for small dogs, and we have them for bigger dogs, right? So we have 2 checked in at 9. And she had a little admin time, and she checked out the large dogs. And then if she just did a large dog, is actually closer to doing only 1 day. So we're going to actually take this large dog setup, and we're going to start looking at what this would look like, okay, as just 1 person. So let's go ahead. So let's say they want to start in at 9 a.m. And let's say they're going to do a Shih Tzu haircut. You have to make that a little bigger. Or actually make this a little smaller. Nope, can't do it that way. Boop, boop. So they're going to check in that dog at 9. And let's say that dog takes an hour and a half. So 9 to 10:30, right? We're going to finish our first dog here. So they're going to be picked up here. So let me go ahead and edit that now. So we checked in at 9, and we're going to give some wiggle room. And again, that dog may be done perfectly in 1 hour, but I'm going to take a wild guess and assume that it's not going to be perfect, or there's going to be some sort of overlay, right? There might be some little bit of overlay. There we go. So I'm going to say an hour and a half. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and check in our next dog. Right here at 10:30. We can probably like overlap, right? We can have, at 10:30 we have a checkout, and then at 10:30 we also have a check-in. And I'm going to do the same thing. Change that color. Boop. Boop. We're going to prep that dog, and we're going to finish the work on that dog. So we've got our first dog here. We're going to go again, 10:30. Let's do an hour and a half. So that's a half, and that's an hour. So we're going to be checking out this dog right at 12 o'clock. I'm actually going to move this up. I'm going to check him out right around noon. Right, and then we're also going to be checking in another dog. And we steal some color from here. Right, we're going to check in third dog. So we've got 1 at 9, 1 at 10:30. So I'm actually going to put haircut number 2. Whoop, I don't know what that's doing. I'm going to check in this third dog. We're going to prep him. Okay, and when are we going to be done, right? So 12, 1, 1:30, right about here. So we're going to pull down this color. If you know, you guys can do this. But if you pull down from the top, it'll actually pull that color with you. So we've got this dog here. We're going to check in, and then we're going to check out. So again, I'm going to steal it from this one. Check out that dog. And this is really important for you guys to do, is to go ahead and actually lay out what that schedule looks like, right? So we've got one at 9, 9:30, 10, that's an hour and a half. 10:30 to 12 is an hour and a half. 12 to 1:30 is an hour and a half. Let's go ahead and add our third dog. Cheat by using that stuff really quick. So we're going to do our fourth dog. Ooh, pardon me, I got to fix this. Check in our fourth dog. We're going to use all the same stuff, right? And then it's a matter of what time do I want to work till, right? Do I want to work till 3? Do I want to work till 5? When do I want to work till? So let's just do the math, right? Let's look at what this looks like. So I'm going to work from 1:30 to 3. And then the question is, I'm going to probably do one more dog, I think. So I'm going to do a fifth dog right here. Take the bathe and prep and finish, everybody. And again, guys, you can just take this information and do it yourself. And I want you to really break down realistically what this looks like. Now, some of you guys may be like, well, I'm going to do a dog exactly every hour. Okay, well, you better be prepared for that, because that's not easy, guys. So we're going to have that from 3 to 4:30, right? That's going to be the last dog. And then let's say we're gonna pull this over. So let's pull that color to 4:30. And then let's say I'm going to give myself 30 minutes of cleanup and admin time. So let me use green. I like green for that. Let's make it a little lighter. It's a pretty dark green. So we're going to say cleanup and admin. So this is a day. Again, let me go to the top. Even let me make it smaller if you can see it all. So my day here, I'm probably going to show up at the shop 30 minutes early. So I'm going to show up right here at 8:30, right? And I'm going to groom one dog. And I'm going to groom that dog for an hour and a half. Well, realistically for an hour. I'm going to check in and groom that dog for an hour, hour 15. And then I'm going to check out that dog, and I'm going to check in this new dog here, right? The second dog. And then I'm going to spend that time there, right? That hour and a half, finish him, make that all full. And then I'm going to check him out, but also check in this third dog here. Hour and a half, do fourth dog. Hour and a half, do this fifth dog. And then I leave myself about 30 minutes between checking out this dog, cleaning up, and any admin work. Now, one thing I want you to notice about this is that we're doing 5 dogs, right? Instead of this groomer's 6 dogs. Also, this groomer who did 6 dogs is done at 3:30, right? So even if this groomer is out the door by 5, This groomer is out the door at 5 with 6 dogs by themselves. And the time realistically between 3:30 and 5, it's pretty easy going. This groomer here has about, let's see, 3:30 to 4:30, so an hour and a half to just kind of clean up, catch up, and relax. All right, so yes, this groomer starts at 9. They probably show up 30 minutes early. But the way that this is all set up, they're actually having a more relaxing day because they're going to get their physical work done faster. Right now, yes, they're going to be juggling multiple dogs, but they have the opportunity here to let those dogs use a drying kennel and or have some room in case if they fall behind, right? I mean, technically, if they wanted to, they could make these last 2 dogs express, right? And have them pick up at 4 o'clock and leave an hour early. But this allows them to do lots of cleanup time, lots of admin time. That gives them an hour and a half to do cleanup, catch up, and all that. This person, every single time, they are doing everything start to finish. Now, because this is stationary mobile, you have to remember that on this schedule, we have to make sure that this client is actually going to show up right at 9. Because if they show up at 9:15 or 9:30, now I'm behind and now I'm here, right? So now I either have to rush this dog or, I've got to wait to do this dog, right? Because I'm going to be having to check this dog in at 10:30 no matter what. So if this dog shows up 30 minutes late, I have to tell them, no, I can't groom your dog. And that's a lot harder to do when someone shows up at your shop versus I'm at your house, I'm knocking on your door, let's say with mobile, and you don't show up. If you don't show up, just want to make sure we can see the screen, guys. If you don't show up, that's really not my fault. If I'm there and you don't do it, but if you don't drive to there and they get stuck in traffic or they're dropping their child off and there was a longer line, it's a lot harder to tell people sayonara. So if you're going to do this, you really have to be prepared to tell people no and charge them full price. Because if I don't charge this person full price for being 15 minutes late, I'm going to lose all my money. This is this is 1/5 of my day. That means that it is 20% of my day. Okay, so let's move down to dog number 2. Whoops, sorry. Again, I'm checking these 2 in at the same time. That means that I also have to make sure that this person checks out very quickly and this person checks in very quickly. Because I have 30 minutes from here to here. And that should be more than enough. It should be 15 minutes. But generally people that want one-on-one tend to have more high maintenance clients. They tend to be high maintenance dogs. So hopefully neither one of these dogs is dog aggressive. In a regular salon, they're more likely to tell you if the dog, because they know there's going to be dogs coming in and out. Also, if this client does not come in first, if first dog does not come in first, right, to pick up, you're going to have to either put that dog in a carrier. I should say carrier. I always think of cat grooming. You're going to have to put them into a crate. You're going to have to put them in a cabana. You're going to have to put them somewhere that they are safe, right? And dog number 2, you're kind of hurting your whole vibe of, no cages and we do everyone start to finish. And, if dog 1 starts belligerently barking, when dog 2 comes in, again, that's going to hurt what your business model is. But just from a pricing standpoint, we have to make sure that everyone shows up. Because in this model here with these, is it this one? Nope, not that one. Boop, my bad. This one with the 6 dogs and they're done early, we have an extra dog. But what we also have here is a significant more amount of time here, right? This person doesn't need to stay here that long. They could be done here, realistically, right? They could be done between 3:30 and 4:30 if they really, really wanted to. Where this person, the earliest, if they want to do these 5 dogs, is 5 o'clock. So if they were like, okay, I would like to get out between 3 and 4:30, well, that means they're only doing 4 dogs. And you've got to add that extra amount of, potential stress. We think about the stress of how easy it is to do a dog start to finish. But if I'm grooming 5 dogs, right? And let's say for shits and giggles, it is, I see the average person I see price point with, let's write dogs or pets. I should write pets per day, right? And let's say I see you guys feeling around $65. Oh, I have to write that here. 65 price per. This is being so weird. Don't mind me. Okay, so then let's just do that, right? So we have 5 times 65. Don't tell me what to do, computer. So we're looking at about $325 a day, right? Versus like 6 dogs, and that other system, let's say, is 55, right? Again, a very normal number. So the person who has all of these, they're making $5 more than you, right? So in this scenario, they're grooming 1 more dog. They have a lot of extra time, and you might be like, well, no, in this model, I'll have an extra 15, 20 minutes here in between each dog. That's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. But is 15 minutes really more than enough time then to catch your breath? Versus in this model with the 6 dogs and the overlapping, you've got an hour and a half of breathing room. And technically, you've got, realistically, right, all that time to catch up, check out, and go home. Versus this one, you don't really have a situation. Now, we can always do it 1 per hour, but again, you've got to be really perfect. And no dog can have a bad day. There's no wiggle room here, right? If dog number 3 is having explosive diarrhea that day, it just is what it is, So that's something I want to consider. And also, this only leaves you about 30 minutes, realistically, of cleanup and admin time. Now, you'll probably be cleaning up between each dog when you're doing this. But so when we look at our money here, right, this is not enough. Hey, Marie, great to see you live. This is right here. This is less stress. This is an earlier day, potentially. There's a lot more room for wiggle room. This is a lot easier to add a second groomer to it, or even a bather, right? Because it's really easy to take this scenario, right, where we've got the 6 dogs by yourself with the kennel drying and the prep, and then turn that, I think it's this one, into this one, where now we're doing 7 haircuts, right? 7 haircuts and 2 baths, right? And that's where really this only works financially if it's a really higher price point, because this is not great money, right? This is that solo groomer who does 6 dogs at $55 at $333 a day, right? But now let's say they have, I'm going to make it here really quick. So they did 6 haircuts. Their Shih Tzu haircuts, let's call it $55, right? So we're going to do that. Let's say, don't tell me what to do, computer. They did 1 beagle bath. Let's say a beagle bath is $35. I know it's super low. Don't come for me. Let's go real low. Let's say a beagle bath is $35. They also had 1 large haircut. Let's say they're not even that crazy. Let's call it $85. They do doodles for some obscene amount of money, right? And then they also did a lab bath, and let's say that 1 lab bath is $55. Okay. And don't get me wrong, there's lots of problems with that business model as well. But they added 1 bather, and they just made an extra, well, let me do my math exactly. So they made an extra $175 by adding a bather and a few extra dogs. And even then, guys, that schedule here with the 2 haircuts, the medium bath, again, they're done early, right? This person is actually out at 3 o'clock. this groomer who is doing the 6 haircuts, small haircuts, the 1 beagle bath, the 1 doodle haircut, and the 1 lab bath, earned $505 versus the $325 and worked 2 less hours. So this is where realistically, if you're doing half the amount of dogs, you need to do double the money. So if we're doing this here, and this is not exactly a total representation, because in the scenario where we have the 9 dogs, they could have added 2 more haircuts, right? They could have added 2 more haircuts, or they could have added in there another bath. They could add in another large dog haircut, whatever. But here you can't. So when we're talking about financial situations, we need to really look at, okay, if I want to get here, because I don't have this option doing this. You can add a bather, but where's that dog going to go? If you're doing one-on-one, where is that dog going to go? You might have 2 in the same household, but realistically, beyond an hour and a half, even if that bather is getting that dog done, let's say between you and that bather, it's going to be about an hour. That does save you half an hour, but it leaves you no wiggle room. And unlike a mobile, like when I book a mobile, because I've been in the van recently, we give them a 2-hour window. So if we tell the client, okay, we're going to be there at 9, we tell them that is anywhere between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. Right? So 8 to 9 and then 9 to 10, that's a 2-hour window. We as mobile units often do that. And on this stationary mobile, on this one-on-one, you don't have a lot of wiggle room. And I know it sounds like I'm repeating myself. I think it's really important. So we realistically want to get this to a minimum of about 500. So if you're doing 5 pets a day, let's do that math, right? So let's move this up to 85. Nope. Let's do 95. Nope. Let's do 100. Yup. And for those of you guys, yes, I totally know 5 times 100 is 500. I just want to see, I want some drama. So we realistically need to be at a minimum of $100, whether you are mobile or one-on-one. That's about where we need to be, between $100 and $125. Okay. And this is with 5. If you guys are doing, let's say 4 a day, you need to be at 125. And this is not perfect. This is not everybody. You need to know your numbers. Your overhead may be significantly higher than other grooming salons. It may be significantly lower. A lot of you guys are looking at the fact that you're doing one-on-one and you're doing it either out of your garage, you're doing it out of a friend's shop, you're doing all kinds of things that some of them are legal, some of them are kind of shady and questionable. I'm not here to judge you. But what I do want you to look at is how much money is there. Now, for this person, they did not live somewhere where there is a Petco, PetSmart, etc. So to them, they're like, well, am I going to price myself out of the market? And my question to you is not will you price yourself out of the market, is how much do your clients care that you are one-on-one? Do you care your one-on-one or do your clients care your one-on-one? And you can't have it both ways. Like you can't say people won't pay for their pet to be one-on-one and they really, really only want their pet groomed one-on-one, right? It doesn't work that way. Either they care a lot and they're willing to put the money forth, or they don't care and they're not going to pay. Because this groomer here with the staff member, the 1 staff member, they can also add another groomer. They can also add a second bather, right? They're doing 9 pets here and leaving at 3 o'clock. And by the way, their bather, right? If they're doing a deep clean, they're going to spend an hour cleaning. Otherwise, their bather's really only there till 1 o'clock. So they have a bather working from, this starts at 8. So 8 a.m. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. So their bather's only there for 5 hours. Potentially, unless if they want to do an extra hour clean, which is, 6 hours. Versus this groomer is working a 9 to 5. That's 8 hours. Okay, and it just depends on what you want. of course. But if you're going to do one-on-one, you need to consider the fact that you need to be priced just like a mobile. And for some of you guys, even higher than mobiles, which is a harder sell. And the reason that mobiles can be potentially a little bit cheaper in this because their overhead is not forever. Even if a mobile, and maybe you guys don't know this, but when we're talking about mobiles, what I think is very interesting. And again, you guys know that I love mobile right now just because the rental market for all of these businesses, commercial leases is really, we don't know what's going to happen. And again, the cars are really high, but mobile vans are not, they have not gone up as high as other cars have gone up. So really quickly, if I have a mobile van, I'm going to pay that sucker for 5 years. And then I have a choice of either selling it and getting a brand new one, or I am going to just keep it. So what the math we're not considering here too with one-on-one, like one-on-one in a grooming salon, is the fact that every 5 years, right, a mobile is going to have an asset worth $45,000 to $65,000 minimally. Or they're not going to have what your rent payment is. They're not going to have it. So that's something to really consider, is that mobile actually earns $45,000 to $65,000, or they don't have a rent payment, right? They're not going to have a van payment after that 5 years, where you guys are always going to have to deal with rent increases, tax increases, etc. So we need to actually build that into the price. Now, if you are lucky enough to have one in your house, you might be like, okay, I'm not going to have as many overhead, but I want you to price out how much it would cost you to have it somewhere else. What is the market commercial rent? How much has it gone up in the last 10 years? How much would it be if it was a triple net lease, etc.? So when you're considering your prices, you may need to be double or more than double than your competitors, right? Because let's say this is a regular mom and pop shop. At $75 doing 6 dogs, they're almost doing as much as you at $125 at 4 pets a day, right? And a lot of groomers are doing 8 dogs in 8 hours at these mom and pop shops, right? And they have they're having 8 dogs over 8 hours, and they either all come in the morning or they're staggered. If they did 8 dogs at $75, which is what a lot of grooming salons are going to, regular grooming salons, $65, $75 is the new average grooming salon that I'm seeing. That's $600. So if you did 4 dogs at $125, it's $500. So let's go back to 6, right? That's still pretty darn close. They're doing 2 more dogs than you, which is more work, but they're charging significantly less at $75 versus $125. And if you bring your price down to $100, right? And let's say they bring their price down to $65. They're making $10 less than you. They're doing 2 more dogs. But again, these people here are, the way it's scheduled, they're going to have an hour and a half at the end of the day. They might be able to leave an hour and a half earlier than you. One thing that really shocked me being mobile versus being in my shop was that the driving is the downtime. And you have steady downtime, right? Because you're in a shop, it's like go, 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 go. Like I want to get done for the day. But in a mobile, like you get there, you prep, you groom, you finish, you leave. And one-on-one, you kind of have that in between here, like with this half an hour check-in, check-out. But what you don't see is really a rest period. Hang on. Marie is saying average salon here starts at $35 for Shih Tzu. Type one of them is $65. Marie, but when you say the average salon, are you talking about Petco, PetSmart? Or are you talking about like your crappy mom and pop shops? And again, there's a lot of, I should clarify, the grooming salon that's been owned for 30 years by like the lady who chain smokes and doesn't use professional grooming equipment, there's definitely still 35. But they're generally like a groomer that is in their 50s, 60s, 70s. I'm not ageist. It's just the truth. They've been grooming 20, 30, 40 years. Because let's see, if they're doing 35 dogs a day, right? And let's say they want to make, like here, like $400 a day. how do we get there, right? So let's say they're going to groom 10 dogs a day, right? Can't do it. So then they got to go up. Nope, not going up because they're 35. How about 11? Nope. So that means that this groomer would need to groom between 11 and 12 to do the same that this person's doing 6. Yeah. So mom and pop PetSmart is 40. Yeah, but PetSmart and Petco start at quote unquote 40, but no one ever gets the 40. I will say I cleaned up like a bandit at PetSmart Petco because like it would be $40 to quote unquote start, but you could always upgrade somebody. And in fact, a lot of times we would like quote the $40 over the phone and then just add the packages on, you know, and that's just it. This groomer here is not going to be a groomer for very long. You're not. Someone who's doing this is doing one of two things. They are either lying through their teeth on their taxes, they're a criminal and are doing their business illegally, whether they are not, like we said, pay taxes, they don't have a legal business, they are in it, like doing something because the numbers just don't work, right? Or they're going to get burnt out. Doing 11 pets a day at $35 to make a decent wage. Because don't forget, if they're working 8 hours a week, right? So let's take that and let's divide it by 8 hours a day, right? You're like, oh my God, they're making $48 an hour, but they're not taking all that, right? Their overhead could be higher or lower. A lot of these grooming salons too, potentially, not all of them, have been open forever. And just like a lot of us don't want to increase our prices on our, very long-term low customers, a lot of these groomers have been in storefronts for 10, 20, 30 years. And the owners don't really want to raise their rent. But with the amount of commercial places being sold, with the amount of commercial places being reevaluated on their taxes, somebody who's doing this, the math doesn't add up, right? The math doesn't add up. And again, that power groomer who's been power grooming for 20 years, it's not going to last, right? It's not going to last. Well, Marie, and I want you to think about it, like the first thing, this town has a pricing issue. I don't think towns have pricing issues. I think they have is a value issue. And 9 times out of 10, I talk about this in the Price Increase Masterclass, create your community. You can't price that. That's illegal. But if you called around other shops and said, hey, my price is this, just so you're aware, when I go up or whatever, I saw Angie Coates posting that she had increased her nail trim prices to $20 and she called her local grooming community. And almost everybody else was like, oh my God, absolutely. We're all going to raise our prices. So they all raised their prices to $20. Because they're like, yeah, like we're not going to stand for this. We're not going to do it. So, and that's it. It's not easy. It's not easy to be the most expensive, but it's not the hardest. I will say this is that if your customers are only picking you because of your prices, you're doing something very wrong. Maybe you can't get the $125. Maybe you can't get the $100. Maybe you get $85. But if you go up $5, $10, $20 a year, you're going to get there. And again, if your customers, every time your prices go up, they think about leaving, you're not doing something right. People value grooming. And if your clients don't value your grooming, evaluate, are they my soulmate client? Am I creating an excellent, consistent experience? Every time I groom their pet, the pet's super happy. The client's really happy. I have great communication. I'm connected with the client in the way that they think is amazing. Make sure that what you're doing makes sense and is actually valuable to them. I agree. I think there's a lot, I know people that have paid $10,000 for their wedding photographer. I did not see a point in that. I'm like, I have an iPhone. Why would I pay $10,000? They would not market to me. They also probably would not do well in a very small town. If I had a very small town and I'm a $10,000 photographer, for a wedding photographer, I probably wouldn't do well. I would do great here in Newport. And in fact, I could probably charge $40,000 or $50,000 here as a wedding photographer, right? But here's the thing is, in that example, we want to look at the price of weddings. The wedding photographer who's charging $10,000 is doing $100,000 weddings, right? Are you grooming pets that are, and I'm not saying everybody, but how many of us are grooming designer dogs that these people paid $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 for? I will never forget one of my coaching, we had a coaching session with one of the girls, and she told me that there was a Bernedoodle breeder that sold her puppies for $5,000 to a dog trainer who then would train them from the time of 8 weeks to 6 months, and she would have to hand scissor them. The groomer would have to hand scissor them. The dog trainer was selling those puppies for $20,000. And when I asked her how much she was charging for that Bernedoodle puppy, she was telling me she was charging less than $100. I said, hand scissoring a Bernedoodle puppy is an all-day event, especially because you're never seeing that dog again. They were getting shipped all over the country. So I told her, I said, that's a $500, that's a full day. It's a $500 day because that is emotionally and physically taxing. And she's like, yeah, I either come and in on my day off or I do it at the end of the day. I'm like, well, that's a lot of commitment right there. So I want you to ask yourself, what does your area value? And how do you find that market? If you have a Starbucks in your town or within an hour drive, someone there is willing to spend $6 a day on a cup of coffee. I want you to think about that. If you go for $6, and that's what I did. I had a $6 a coffee day. So $6 times 5 times 4 weeks. That is $120. Someone is willingly paying $120 a month in coffee. And that's if they get one. Okay, so I want you to consider that. But your pricing concerns with this one-on-one, whether you are mobile or you are stationary, I want you to look at your numbers. Do this. Pull out your day. So, okay, first I'm going to show up at 8:30. I'm going to have this client check in. And then say to yourself, okay, and you might be like, well, it depends on every dog. Well, that's a problem because, again, we talked about how clients will pay more for consistency. I will tell you, in your business, it is not super easy to not have consistent things. Clients like to know when to come back. That is the biggest lesson I learned as far as like having my shop. Once I had set pickup times and set drop-off times, it made everything significantly easier. Imagine if we had, we'll give you a call when we're going to drop off the dog. You'd be so stressed out. It's very different with mobile because we show up and we drop off, okay? Melissa Hall is saying they buy expensive animals and they're so cheap it's unreal. Oh yeah, I've been to Melissa Hall's town. She lives in Yuma, Arizona. Let me tell you, I have seen some of the cheapest people alive living there. And Melissa Hall, she does really good. And if you guys want to check her out, Melissa, do you want me to send them to your TikTok or to your website? She's actually teaches cat grooming. And it's amazing. Like, people told her basically, like, oh, no one's going to pay for that cat grooming, And she makes a killing. Like, she has a fantastic grooming salon. And she lives right on the Mexico border. She lives in a town where people are so So But the way we change people's behavior is by increasing the price and setting our boundary, right? And you don't have to do it to everybody. We can just say, okay, have it so, your first, if you want to do one-on-one, that's fine. But make sure they're paying 75 to 100% more, right? So if they want to be the only dog for an hour and a half, that's a lot. And also, if I add a second groomer here, right? So let's move this to, let me just take this for a second. I'm just going to steal this real quick. I'm going to go to another sheet, right? And I just want to show this example. So let's say I have groomer number 1 and I have groomer number 2. Okay. And let's just change up these colors real quick. We'll make them light blue. And we're going to make this one, let's make this pink. Okay, so when I look at this, you're like, oh, look how easy that is. I just have 2 groomers. Okay, well, groomer number 2 calls out. Right, so let's say groomer number 2 gets COVID and can't work for 2 weeks. Where are these dogs going? What's going to happen here? Now, the goal would be to have a manager here, right? So we'd have manager here. And manager would be managing, right? They would be checking quality. They would be checking dogs in and out, etc. But where am I going to get the money to pay for this manager? Nastly, I'm hoping to see Melissa for cat grooming in the near future. Absolutely. Melissa Hall, guys, seriously check her out. She's absolutely amazing. But in a rotating grooming salon, like this craziness, right? This 9 dog day, right? This situation, we could add another bather, another groomer, right? And then have my manager. Now we're doing a lot of dogs, but we're making a lot of money that I can afford a full salary groomer. In this scenario, what is this manager doing all day? What are they doing? They're not making me any money. They're not doing anything. So you would be like, oh, well, they'll groom dogs. Okay, well, if they groom dogs and groomer number 1 doesn't show up, who grooms these dogs? Let's say groomer number 1 gets sick and has to be out for 2 weeks. Groomer number 1 gets pregnant and needs to be out for 3 to 6 months. Let's say she's got, she decides she's going to get a C-section, right? It's a high-risk pregnancy, so she's out 2 months before her baby, last trimester, right? Gets a C-section, needs to be out for 3 months, decides she's going to take a little longer just in case. Now you don't have a groomer for 5 months. And it's not like in this business model, I can just add. And by the way, for those of you guys that don't know anything about HR, you can't fire this person for being pregnant, sick, or hurt. And if you replace them, you have to give them a job when they come back. And that means that you have to have a whole nother clientele, right? One other consideration, and this is too with the pricing, is that in this scenario, this groomer's checking in and out all these dogs, and this groomer's checking in and out all these dogs. Well, that means that this groomer, let's say this is my employee here, groomer number 2, I'm just helping them build their own business, because when if groomer number 2 quits, groomer number 1, who's the owner, can't groom all these dogs in this setup. So she just basically used my business for 6 months, a year, 2 years to build up her clientele and go open her own mobile or own salon. So this needs to be added into my pricing, because as we grow, there's not a ton of room for growth. The difference between, this scenario and a mobile scenario is, I would assume, and again, this is what I teach, that these 2 groomers would not be grooming at the same time. In a mobile, I would have 1 van, 2 groomers. I do not understand why I would give an employee a $100,000 vehicle for a 40-hour week. No, ma'am. No. You 2 can split a van, right? Because then if groomer number 2 is not working, right, they get sick for 2 weeks, me, owner, groomer number 1, I'm going to cover their shift as much as I can. I might die, but at least I can, versus I have to call out all these clients, right? Or that's going to give me the opportunity for groomer number 2's clients. I'm going to tighten them up and make sure that my pricing is appropriate. Melissa's saying, it's me, the owner, working like a slave. Exactly. Exactly. So that's where, when you're doing this, guys, you need to be super high-end, boutique-y. Think of this like this model with the 9 dogs. This is like your average little cute massage parlor, not like a Massage Envy, like a little massage place, right? You've got a cute, you got the owner who maybe is a masseuse, and then you've got, your little, I forget what they call a bar back there, so somebody who does the towels and the receptionist work, right? And they can do X amount of massages, right? Now you're like, oh, well, in this model, wouldn't that be more like it, where they have like the one massage and they check in and out? Well, yeah, but they also have overlay, right? So I know a lot of you guys haven't worked in spa, so I guess it's not a very helpful analogy. But, this is like you have a spa at home. And it's interesting because, like, I like Massage Envy. It's cheap. I don't mind paying $55 an hour for a massage. That's super cheap and really awesome. But if I were to go to, like, I love the Bodhi Spa in Newport. So if I want to go to the Bodhi Spa, how much more money is, so I can pay $55 at Massage Envy, right? Oh God, there's so many options. Don't give me this crap. Let's do the Signature. That sounds reasonable, right? So there's Signature, guys. So I can pay for 1 hour at Massage Envy $55. This is $138. Put that in perspective for a second, okay? An hour and a half and 90 minutes, I think I pay, it can't be more than $90 tops. It's probably closer to like, God, do I have 65 cents? It's probably like $80. This is double, right? This is double. And it's branded as double, right? Let's look at deep tissue. Same thing, 30 minutes is 70, an hour is 130. They're charging double, almost triple. 190. Let's look at Supercuts. All right. Just to put it in perspective. Let's look at, I mean, if you're going to give me prices. You're putting me on the spot here. Services. Let's Google it. There we go. This is going to tell me. Supercut prices. So it's starts at $14 for a haircut. Okay. Here we go. Supercuts. 15 to 20, 20 to 23, 29 to 44. Okay. So let's look at, hair salon. Let's look at a Bonti here. I don't know if I'll have their prices. Bonti Designs. I'm going to spell it wrong or something. And again, guys, I am 100% just doing this. This design. Bonti. Nicer salon. Super cute. Let's see if I can find pricing. Hair. So their haircut starts at $50. Okay. Literally the most expensive at Supercuts was $44, and theirs starts at $50. Okay. I want you to consider that, guys. I just cannot tell you how important it is that if you're going to offer the super boutique-y price, you gotta charge way more. I just feel like a broken record at this point. And it just makes me sad because, like, I don't know what else to tell you guys except for show you and hope that you listen to me. I know it was a long session today, but I really hope you've been able to listen to this, take this into account, and, let's break it down. A lot of places are just going to be cheaper, but that doesn't mean you have to be cheap. There's going to be a Supercuts, and then there's going to be that local shop, like local hair cutting place. And when you think about that, the cheapest haircut at Supercuts was like $15 to $20. The minimum haircut at the other place was $50, right? That is double, if not triple, right? Same thing with massages. So if there's not a Petco PetSmart and you're looking at these other grooming salons that are much lower end than you, don't be afraid to be double or triple more. You do need to market. You do need to have a loyal fan base, but that's also why I love memberships. But that's a whole nother conversation. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. If you have not already, please sign up for my free Facebook group, Savvy Pet Professionals. We talk about personal finance, business, and lifestyle. And like we just did tonight, we were able to go through what someone asked in that group. And I want to be there to support everyone that is in my group. So don't be afraid of that. Whoop. Today's topic was one-on-one pricing concerns. And again, I'm not saying don't do it. What I'm saying is go in it knowing the negatives. Know that you have this very high-end bougie business. And unlike mobile, in 5 years, you're not going to have a paid off asset, right? I mean, unless if you're going to buy a commercial building or have it in your home and everything, be very careful. Make sure you're doing the math. Make sure you do what's right for your business. Melissa says you might die, right? Oh my God, you're too funny, Melissa. But yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. I really appreciate you being here. I may or may not get any hate for this. I don't know. But I just want to be honest up front. Again, I'm not opposed to it. What I want you to do is use your numbers. And yes, you may be excessively higher. And my question for you is, does your clients care enough to pay that extra amount? And only you know that, right? And if you're not sure, offer both. Offer in the morning, staggered appointments, and the last appointment of the day is start to finish, right? And charge double or triple for that and see what you get. Or offer a membership. Membership is a great way to see if your clients will commit to you. And it's about creating that supply and demand. And it does take some finagling, but it will get better, I promise. All right, guys. As always, I really appreciate you being here. And I can't wait to see you guys next week. One last thought. We are opening up our group mentorship, opening up tomorrow. So if you guys are looking to join group mentorship, it's going to be open always from the 1st to the 5th of the month. And what that is it's a group of us. We just chat like this, and it's significantly better because we get to work through these problems together. We get to work on your specific problem in your business as a group. And as people progress every month, they get better and better. It's amazing to see. It's significantly cheaper than one-on-one coaching. And I love it. For every 10 people, we add an extra hour a month. I should say an hour a week. And most of the time, I generally have 2 to 3, sometimes 4 people on live. So it's a nice tight group. If you guys are considering it, please go to savvygroomer.com/groups. All right, guys, I will see you next week. Happy grooming.